Welcome to Fireside Yankees. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Nick Nielsen. Doubleheader today, guys. Chicago White Sox before the Yankees host the Baltimore Orioles on Monday. But we still got to get through the White Sox. 2 games. Really close one yesterday. DJ, grand slam. Awesome day for him. 10 years of service. That was
What
his
a game, dude.
moment.
You know how sick that is?
Awesome game. It was a hell of a game. I mean, ranging from the benches clearing situations, the home runs, the grand slam, Yankees stifling off, Clay Holmes finishing it off in the ninth. I mean, Nestor Cortez, once again, had a pretty solid outing. Not one of his best ones, but he looked pretty solid. And, he had that one inning where he struck out the 3 batters in a row and looked absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, like his cutter, I think I saw
Insane.
comments on Twitter saying, like, is it safe to say that Mariano Rivera's cutter now takes a back seat to Nestor Cortez's
That's
cutter?
crazy. That's crazy, but
3 runs, 0
Still
walks, 8 Ks in 5 innings, and people were
Insane,
complaining. Yeah. That's how good Nestor is, though. We've become accustomed to his greatness, that when he doesn't, deliver 9 innings, 8 innings of near flawless baseball, we riot. So I'm very happy with how Nestor performed yesterday.
Hey,
I think
I'm okay with that. If we're writing about how well players are playing, that's the best type of idiocy you can possibly have as a fan.
Exactly.
The best type of idiocy is when you're like, this guy is not performing as amazing as he usually does, but he still had a great performance. So, now the Yankees going into today, Jameson Taillon's on the mound, I believe. And who's the other guy starting today?
Luis Severino. It's Taillon versus Kopech, and then Severino versus Cueto.
Okay, so Kopech, obviously, one of the better young pitchers in the league, really coming up. And
got to see his exit velocity, though, dude. Remember last week where he was only touching 94, 93 against the Yankees, and he struggled a lot?
Great.
So it's like if he's throwing 93, 94, we should be able to hopefully see Kopech pretty well. But if Kopech's throwing his 97, 98 shit that he's had in the past, we got to be patient. And we will be patient. That's the thing. The Yankees are having great at-bats through like 1 through 9 in the lineup. Today's lineup doesn't, for the first game of the doubleheader, doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, there's a lot of questions to be asked. Like, everyone's wondering, where in the world is Joey Gallo? Like, he appeared as a pinch hitter in the Thursday game against Baltimore, worked a walk. So we didn't get to see him like swing the bat very hard or like run or play defense. So maybe he's nursing some sort of small injury, or maybe he's just been benched. I don't know, but he's not in there. And Aaron Hicks, for whatever reason, I guess after going 1 for 2 with the walk in a single, which was a good game for him in my opinion, in the 9-hole, that gives him the ability to bump up to the 6th spot. So I don't know why he's batting 6th. I don't know anymore. But having Hicks 6th, and that being my biggest complaint for the first game, and he'll probably play again in the second game, if being honest, because Marwin's playing in the first game as well in the outfield. So having Hicks in the 6th, that being our biggest issue, is fine by me. Like, that's such a luxury. Like, Ryan and I broke it down a ton in the hour-long episode that we released earlier today. Tons of information. If you guys want to go check that out later, please do. But we talked about it where it's like, there are so many great things with this team that it's very easy to point out one of the 2 negatives and just harp on them heavily. Like, Chad Green's injury, people were like saying it's a blessing in disguise. Like, Ryan and I dove into that a ton yesterday. That is absurd. Chad Green's been so good for like 5 years, and people are now just basically tuning into the last 10 months of Chad Green's career, where he is kind of showing signs of his arm being like worn down heavily and overused. And they're immediately referring to that Chad Green as the Chad Green that he has like become as a Yankee. Like, if not for Chad Green for a couple years, we would have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. He like single-handedly carried it. So I don't know, man. It's like losing Green really hurts a ton. And that's why this episode today that you talked to me about beforehand, wanting to record, talking about a new closer, is even all the more important now. Because not having Chad Green means we don't have that guy that when we're up 3-4 runs in the 8th, 9th inning, we can just toss him out there and say, do your thing, Chad. Because that's how we like to use Green. When we are up by a couple runs in the late innings, not like safe situation, we toss in Chad Green when we needed to feel comfortable. And now we don't have that luxury. Aroldis is just pitching so poorly. There's a lot to discuss in this episode in the next 10 or so minutes, man.
Yeah, well, when you have Chad Green injury, he's on the 15-day IL with the elbow strain. So it's not like he's going to be out forever. He's only out for a couple weeks.
But he did say it could be significant.
It could be significant. So we'll see how it unfolds. Luis Gil's is significant.
Yeah,
he's
Tommy
done
John,
for the year.
Man. Ugh.
Yeah, he's Tommy John. He's done for the year. Chad Green, look, he'll hopefully come back, but He wasn't that good when he was pitching to begin with. So it's like, now the Yankees have to make a decision. Do you force feed Ron Marinaccio? Then you have
who looked like Ray Liotta, by the way, at the welcome home dinner last night. I don't know if you saw that picture of the whole team and everyone. Like, it was a great picture. It was a selfie by Judge. Clark Schmidt posted it to his Instagram and Twitter, I believe. But Ron Marinaccio is like standing there like this, like looking like off. He looks exactly like Ray Liotta from Goodfellas. Like, I'm not like not That's like older Ray Liotta, like younger Ray Liotta when he's like starting to get into it. Looks exactly like Ron Marinaccio. So I'm like, dude, this is sick. If we can have Rizzo, and Gallo, the good fellas, that's sick. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That would be insane.
That was just a side note there, but I thought it was an awesome pick, and it just made me laugh. I'm like, the results are uncanny. The resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah, I mean, look, he might be a guy the Yankees have to start relying on, and especially if Aroldis Chapman continues to struggle. In the month of May, Chapman has just been abysmal. 6.75 ERA. He's given up 9 hits and 4 earned runs in 5.1 innings, 3 walks. He's only struck out 4 batters. He's generated 6 ground balls, but you're looking at him and a lot of fly balls, 15 fly balls. Like he needs to turn this around quickly before it starts to get out of hand, right? His May has been abysmal. However, he started off in April pretty good.
Yeah, he had a 0 ERA in April. Like, what?
Right. He looked good. 2 hits in 8.1 innings. I don't know what's going on with him, if he's dealing with some sort of injury or knack, but his velocity is down over a mile per hour on average with his fastball and slider. His location has been absolutely horrendous.
What location?
And that has begged the question. Yeah, exactly? Dudes was trying to fly to Florida, ended up in freaking Wisconsin. The guy has no idea where his hips are going. And that has begged the question, is there reason enough to consider a closing strategy change or shift, rather? And, Aaron Boone suggested as much, right? He basically was like, Clay Holmes has been phenomenal. And I'll read you the quote exactly of what he said yesterday. I want him in big spots. That is whether it be as a closer or a middle inning relief guy. I want him in big spots, especially against some of the best right-handed hitters in this game. Yeah. And I still got Chappie down there, who's an elite closer, and other guys that we have confidence on a given day and can go out there and close out a game. No, I'm not permanently doing anything. This is just a case of today, but I will say this. Most teams have predominantly righty hitters. Most of the best hitters in the league are righty hitters, which would suggest that Clay Holmes should probably be facing off against them in the 9th inning if they have a strong right-handed hitting lineup. So this will probably be another analytics game where you're like, if this is a strong right-handed hitting team, we want Clay Holmes closing. We don't want Aroldis Chapman closing anymore. So I think that would make sense, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're 100% right, Alex. And that's the thing that I like that Boone did say. Like, he didn't say we're going to have a set closer. He's like, we're going to kind of roll with closer by committee. Like you said, look at matchup situations, ballparks, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the perfect way to do it, because Ryan and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, where I said the problem with the closer is that it's not your most valuable bullpen arm, despite what the many eyes may say and many eyes may see, where it's like, oh, he gets the most attention. He's pitching in the 9th inning in a close game. Therefore, he should be your best bullpen arm. When in reality, having a closer means that you lock him down to a 9th inning role. It means that you only have him in there when it's a 3-run game. And it means you only have him in there usually when you're winning the game. So having Clay just set as a closer could mean that we see him pitch in 20, 25 less innings this year, but he could get every single high leverage opportunity, which is what I want. So that's the thing. Like, Clay Holmes this year in high leverage pitching moments has pitched 5.1 innings, which is a small sample size. He's only given up 1 earned run, and it was off of a single, I believe. And he's giving up an opponent slash of 400. Or opponent OPS of 400, excuse me. And then in medium leverage situations, which are somewhat similar in like what really like justifies a high compared to a medium, he's got 8.2 innings, holding opponents to a triple slash of 508 OPS, and he's only given up 2 extra base hits. So when he's been thrust into the fire, he does not get burned. And we have not seen that with some other arms this season. I will say Jonathan Loaizaga looked very good when he came in. Like, he looked like a beast. And then Clay Holmes came in and got the 4-out save. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he did the David Robertson special, the Houdini special, where he'd get guys on base and you're like, oh my God. And then the next second, he's all hyped and we're walking back to the dugout and you're like,
he's got it, man. Loaizaga has got the goods. He just hasn't been able to put it together yet. Maybe this was a sign of that progress.
Maybe he's thrown into that closer by committee situation. And if Loaizaga is good, that just makes Chad Green's injury less detrimental and less problematic for the team. Yeah, obsolete. Like, Green's a good relief pitcher. I'm not going to sit here and say Green's bad. He hasn't been nearly as good this year and last year, but that's because of the fact that he's pitched. Yeah, he's average. He's like an average to above average reliever with like a mid-3 ERA, mid-3 FIP. And that's the other thing. There's Yankees fans out there that are like, let's go like trade for an elite reliever. And it's like, guys, come deadline day, they're going to be one of the most highly overpriced players you can acquire. Don't forget
Zach Britton's coming back too.
Yeah, we got Britton coming back in like probably 2 or 3 weeks. We got JP Sears, who's dominating in the minors. Like the Yankees farm is basically, we talked about this in numerous episodes, is basically pitchers now anyways. So why would we go out and give up tons of prospect capital for a bullpen arm? The only reason I'd want a bullpen arm is if we get him in addition to a player we need. Like that's the thing. With this current bullpen that we have structured, there are, I'd probably say, 1 or 2 guys that I don't fully trust. And those 1 or 2 guys are Miguel Castro and Aroldis Chapman. And the reason I'm not putting Lucas Litke in that conversation is because Litke doesn't really get any high leverage innings, and there is no real do or die moments with Litke when he's out there where it's like, all right, Lucas, where it's a 1-run game, you need to keep the like game tied in the 7th or the 8th. Like he's never really thrust into those moments. But Chapman and Miguel Castro are basically the opposite hand of one another, where Castro struggles with the walks and the home runs, but he's got filthy stuff. Same with Aroldis. The difference, however, is that Castro is being used in the 6th inning, the 7th inning to get 2 outs. And when he struggles, he's gone. Aroldis is being used in the biggest moments of the game half the time, 85% of the time. And when he struggles, we just watch from the dugout and we're like, well, we can't pull him. Like, what do we do? And that's the problem with Aroldis, and that's why we should have this discussion, and the Yankees have had this discussion. I don't care about his pedigree. I don't care about his Hall of Fame career. When you don't have it anymore, it doesn't matter how good you were. It's just, it's sadly how it works. Joey Votto this year has been very bad. Do I think Joey Votto is a bad baseball player? No. But do I think Joey Votto is a good baseball player now? No. Like, that's how baseball works. It's just when you get older and you lose your shit, like Aroldis has completely shown he has 90% of the time he steps foot on the mound, you do not deserve to be put in those big moments.
Yeah, I also think that there is like reason to believe that maybe he's going through some sort of injury issue because there's just no, like, I can't sit here and say like, okay, like he went from having a dominant April to a shit May, and it's like it doesn't make sense, right? Like the players don't flip flop. Like good players, like Chapman has always proven to be a Hall of Famer, don't flip flop like that. You know what I mean? I mean, last year he did after the spider tack, situation, everything. Like he definitely had to adjust, but his velocity and location is all off. Like I wonder, there has got to be something more to the story, right? That they're just.
And that's what I don't get. Like it's something, but that's the other thing. Like we've talked about this too in the past with the Aroldis, where it's like one pitch he throws 98, 4 feet off the plate. The next it's 92 on the hands, and then it's 94, 96. And it's like, it's either he's trying and pressing way too hard to find it and give it all he's got, but he just doesn't have it, or he's trying to do too many things at once and like fluctuating between I'm going to try to throw my hard shit or I'm going to try to locate my shit. And that's the problem. Where it's like for the great relievers, that's not one or the other. It's both. And that's what we've seen with Clay Holmes this year. Clay Holmes says, like you said, Boone came out and said that he's one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. He even said he's got the best sinker in baseball. So we talked about it in our Clay Holmes deep dive episode, where he's only throwing sinker and then like 30% slider. So it's basically like, I'm going to throw my sinker a ton, and if it's not hitting the zone, if you're not biting on it, I'm going to throw a slider. And that's how he's pitching, and that's how he's getting people out so like efficiently. Like Clay Holmes this year, the only person that's been more valuable to the Yankees this year is Michael King. And that's just because King has been like 2 or 3 innings worth of dominant, whereas Clay's usually a 1-inning guy. We've used King 13 games for 26 innings. We've used Clay Holmes 20 games for 21.2. So what that tells me is it's like, okay, we're going to use King when we need to protect a lead for a couple innings or our starter doesn't give it to us, or Clay Holmes not like available. And then we're going to use Clay Holmes when we really need to nail down a game. And that's how it should be. Wandy Peralta, get him in there. Loaizaga pitching better, he's going to be once again put into more high leverage situations. Whatever it is, just I want to see less and less of Aroldis Chapman in 1-run, 2-run games. That's the biggest thing for me. Like even if he comes in the 6th inning in 1-run, 2-run games, I still don't trust him because he's going to pitch the exact same as he does in the 9th inning. Aroldis Chapman's at that point where it's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Aroldis is not going to have some sudden entire change of how he pitches like other elite relievers have done in the past when they lose their like velocity and ability to just like blow it by every batter. And Aroldis has yet to find that yet. Like Kenley Jansen's done it. I mean, it's hard to do, don't get me wrong, but the best of the best closers are able to adapt when they lose their best shit and go from there. Like David Robertson has not had nearly as good of a cutter for the last like 4 seasons. He hasn't even played for 2.5 years, and he's been pretty good for the Cubs. And there's a reason why he's still pitching, and he's still pitching effectively because of the fact that you can adapt. And he now throws his knuckle curve a ton more. I'd love to get David Robertson back in a package with Ian Happ. That would be one of the best deadline acquisition deals the Yankees could do.
Yeah, well, look, there are some low-key guys. Brian Cashman always looks to find those gems, those diamonds in the rough that nobody's looking at, that just features something specific that they need. And ultimately, like, it really comes to like matchups. Like, they'll probably look at the rest of their schedule, what that looks like, what teams they need to have those specific pitchers for, and try to work it that way. Like, they probably have an insane analytical strategy that's built into how they're going to approach each individual game, each individual team, where in the lineup they want to use these guys. Like it probably boils down to something so detailed like that we would never even imagine. Yeah. So finding those specific guys, that's where you have to think about like, where's the value? What pitches do they have that the Yankees desperately need? Do they want another sinker ball thrower? Do they want someone who has nasty slider, more high velocity guys with like better locate? Like, there are always like specific things you're looking for, but ultimately I would really like to see Clay Holmes get some more closer minutes, some more closer innings, and see what he can do, especially against heavy right-handed hitting teams in those high leverage situations. You're never going to use Chapman in any other place than a closing situation, but I think right now maybe he's just a little bit fatigued. Like he's just having a little bit of early season fatigue.
It could be that, and he is 35 or 36, I believe. Like Aroldis is no longer a spry horse that's just fresh out of the stables. Like this dude has gone through like a Dothraki army riding him around the entire like Midlands. Like Aroldis has been so good since like 2009, 2010. Like people need to realize how long Aroldis Chapman's been playing baseball. And then it does kind of explain why he's no longer nearly as good as he once was. When you pitch for 13, 12 very good seasons in both the AL and the NL, people are going to kind of figure you out a little bit more. And we've seen it happen with the best of the best. So it's not like Aroldis is bad. Don't get me wrong. He's not bad. I just don't trust him in close games, like in high leverage situations with the game on the line. And even if it's the 6, 7, 8 or the 2, 3, 4 coming up to bat in the 9th, I do not want to see Aroldis Chapman pitching to them when the Yankees are up 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it makes total sense to me. We'll see how they kind of continue this approach, guys. I'd love to hear your opinions below in the comments section. Do you think that Clay Holmes should be getting more closer opportunities over Aroldis Chapman, or do you think you just ride with Aroldis until he finally figures it out and gets back to his normal self, which seems to be Aaron Boone's strategy?
When Aroldis clicks, he's still one of the best in baseball, but we don't see that nearly as often anymore. That's what sucks.
This is the year that we have a chance to win the 28th.
We need him to be a big. He's a big piece in that.
He is absolutely. We're gonna need him to be in form come the playoffs.
Getting paid $20 million. Said he wants to stay in New York and get an extension after the season. The best way to do that, Aroldis, to pitch your ass off to
play well.
28
How about just
and pitch in October like you did for Chicago. That's how you get an extension and become a Yankee legend. Because no one cares that you passed Goose Gossage for 2nd or 3rd or 4th most saves in Yankee history. No one cares about that because everyone knows that it's like a stat that is kind of meaningless and they don't believe. What people do care about is winning championships and performing well and helping your team win championships. And that's what we got to see Aroldis do. Yeah, just don't blow games. Like, every big moment he's blown has been such a crucial blow that it's like Aroldis.
They've somehow managed to escape.
His losses are shit of like legend, like folklore. Like if you were to sit down by the fire and say, "Have you heard the story of Aroldis the Foolish?" and you'd sit down and tell him about all like the walk-off home runs and the moments he's given up and walking bases full, you'd be like, "There's no way that a guy that's a Hall of Famer with a career 2.4 ERA could be that bad." Yeah, but I don't know, dude. I'm excited because the Yankees, even with Green out, they do have the arms to make a closer by committee work and happen and work smoothly. Like they could kind of do a thing like Tampa Bay's doing, where it's just like whoever's pitching really well is going to be our guy, even if Andrew Kittredge was their guy last year. Like that's the thing. When Britton comes back, he may be getting closer opportunities. I don't know. There's just so many pieces now fitting into this Yankees bullpen. And then there's also the potential of acquiring arms outside of the organization via trade for like a year-long rentals, or at the time, half-year rentals. So there's a lot of stuff to be said and a lot of questions to be asked about the bullpen. But all in all, Alex, I'm very content with this team right now. I'm very content with the bullpen right now, especially.
Yeah, look, at some point, things were going to become a little murky. At some point, we're going to have to overcome some obstacles and challenges and hurdles. And if we can continue to win while we deal with those, that's awesome. And it seems like the Yankees are capable of doing that. So me as well, very content with the way that they're handling things and how they are moving forward. So hopefully they can pick up another couple wins today in the doubleheader, my friends. But make sure to leave a comment below. Yes, exactly. Make sure to leave a comment below, drop a like, subscription as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.